Okay, all right. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum once again. Welcome back, students, after Eid. Last time we discussed about the impact of enterprise on the economy, and we discussed various points, and we did develop them in detail. That how enterprise affects the economy as a whole. That was the last topic we covered in the last class. And if you want to watch the video of the last lesson, you can watch it using YouTube, and it's there on my channel. All right, today we'll discuss some more important concepts as far as this subject is concerned. So let's discuss them one by one. The first is consumer goods. So I think majority of the business students, they already know about it, but I'll still define it so that other students will come to know about it as well. Consumer goods are those goods which are used up by end users. Now remember, when I use the word end users, it means final consumers. And who are final consumers? People who use the product for their own satisfaction, right? For example, you go to a market to buy, for example, an ice cream. So you buy that ice cream so that you can use it, right? You can eat it in that case. So it means you are the end user, or you are the final consumer who is going to use it, right? So all those goods which are used up by end users are called consumer goods. So the items which we buy on a daily basis from different retail shops, all those goods, they are consumer goods. Either it is a book, a pen, a DVD, some food item, grocery, even cell phone. So all these are consumer goods because they are used by final consumers, and people buy it to satisfy their own want or need. But in case of consumer goods, there are two different types. Do remember that as well. And what are those types? One is durable goods and the other is non-durable goods. As you can see, the name suggests something about the life cycle or the lifespan of a good. When we say consumer durable good, so it means yes, these are the goods which are used by final consumers or end users, but they are long lasting, right? So they can be used many a times for a long time period. Okay, and they can be stored for a long time period as well. So those are durable goods, and I'll discuss the examples in detail, but let me define non-durable goods as well. As you can see the name non-durable, so it means they are not long lasting, as in the case of durable goods. And either they can be used only once or they can be used for a very short span of time. But that span of time can be up to 1 year, 2 year, or 3 years as well. But generally, I don't want to make you confused. We say that those items which are for immediate use. Okay. Now let's discuss the examples of it as well. Let me show you the pictures first and then we'll discuss them now. Yeah. Now, if you see this picture, so what do you think? Either they are consumer durable goods or consumer non-durable goods. Ahmed, can you answer my question?
Said
Picture
durable
of
goods.
durable goods. Why? Because these are electronic items. They can be used multiple times for a long time period and they are long lasting as well. although we keep it in our homes as well, refrigerator, microwave oven, washing machine. So they are durable, very good. Okay, when we say non-durable, let's see another picture. So now you see that more of the item they are eatables. So all eatables or food items they are non-durable goods. And reason is because we buy them for immediate use. And once we consume them or once we use them, we cannot use them again, especially in case of food items. You know that. Think about um, taking a cup of coffee. So if you take it, so can you have a cup of coffee again? Unless and until you have extra coffee available, you cannot. So it means all food items or eatables, they are non-durable and you can use them only once, right? But if I talk about clothes, shoes, now think about them as well. They look that they are durable goods, right? But they are also some kind of non-durable goods. Although we can use clothes and shoes multiple times, but still they are not long lasting. And sooner or later, either we are not able to wear them. Why? Because now they are not in the shape we can wear them, so they are worn out. So they can also be examples of non-durable goods. So eatables for sure they are non-durable. Okay,
So can
so
we say that? So can we use the same example, the old one, the refrigerators can also be non-durable because when they got unrepairable, then we are going to say them that they are non-durable, or they're all the time known to be durable.
this is something else. Why? Because yes, for example, if your refrigerator is not working, so you can get it repaired. So it's fine. So we can't say that refrigerator has a short span of time. You can use a refrigerator for many years. Okay. So, but if I talk about eatables, you can use it. You know that they have a very short shelf life, right? And you have to use them immediately or maybe within days time. Otherwise, they get expired and you cannot use them. But do remember, because I don't want to make any kind of confusion, because if you see other books as well or you if you see internet, you may find shoes or clothes or paper items, they might be in the category of non durable items. So that is why I want you to make it clear. Otherwise it's absolutely clear that all home appliances, electronic items, they are durable goods. Why? Because they are long lasting. Yes, sometimes they need some kind of repair work, but you can get it repaired and you can use it again, right? Think about LCD which is installed in your home. So it is possible that it may not work, okay, at a certain point of time, but then you take it to the shop and then you get it repaired to use it again. So still it will be called durable goods. In case of non-durable goods, I told you food items, they are absolutely non-durable. Why? Because you can use them only once and they are not long lasting and they have a very short shelf life as well. But if we talk about other items as well, so generally do remember that all non-durable items, they are also called soft items. So clothes are soft, shoes are soft. Similarly, items made up of paper, they are also soft. So they also come in the same category. Although they might not be called pure non-durable goods, but still they come in the same category and they have a less lifespan than durable goods. Yeah, okay. Any question? I can wait for a few seconds.
So if we have an obsolete technology, for example, एक refrigerator है which is obsolete, so सर उस चीज को हम लोग durable कहेंगे कि non durable?
Okay, again we'll call them durable. Why? Okay, listen. For example, you have a laptop and you use a certain software in the laptop. So with the passage of time, you require a new software to be installed in your laptop and it cannot work, right? So yes, in that case, you can say now my laptop is getting out of date, but when it comes to installing new software, otherwise the lifespan of the laptop is still there, but now you cannot use it for certain purposes. So still it will be a durable good. Do remember, because laptops do not get expired if we keep them for years. You can use a laptop for many years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Okay, but it's not possible for in case of clothes, shoes, or eatables or other paper made items. Yes, Ahmed, have I answered your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, similarly, now if we see the another term, because we have talked about much um, goods and services. So now we are talking about the different types of goods and services which are available to people and which businesses can produce. Right. So now the services are there as well, because I told you that needs and wants can only be satisfied either with the help of goods or services. There is no other thing which can satisfy the needs and wants of the people. So now we can talk about consumer services as well. It is still quite easy to understand. How? Because services are intangible. Now, what does it mean when I say intangible? It means we cannot touch them, even we cannot see them, but we can feel that whether we are satisfied with it or not. Think about the services of a teacher, right? So, consumer services means services which are provided to final consumers. The definition remains the same, right? But now instead of goods, we are using the word services. Now, but you need to understand, if I say services of a teacher, this is a consumer service, because who is getting that service? The students. And students are the end users, they are the final consumers. So it will be called consumer service. Similarly, if I talk about house cleaning, do remember. So you have a housemaid and she works in your house cleaning floors, tables, and other things, utensils as well. So she is providing a consumer service because she is directly giving you the satisfaction by providing that service. And in that case, we are the end users or the final consumers. Okay, but do remember, if I talk about an office boy is a person whose job is to keep the office intact. And obviously, that office boy cleans the office furniture as well and the floor as well sometimes. So in that case, maybe the same job is there, right? That is the services of cleaning, but can we call that office boy or sorry, the services which is being provided by that office boy as consumer services? Um, I want Fazan to answer. Fazan, what do you say? Fazan Hassan, are you there? Okay, Lare, please comment.
Sir, I couldn't hear you. Could you please repeat?
My question is, I told you that, for example, if you have a maid in your house who cleans the floor, utensils, furniture, and everything which is there in your house, so obviously the services which is being provided by that housemaid is called consumer service. But what do you think if an office boy is providing the same service in the office, cleaning the office furniture, office floor, and other items? Is it a consumer service or not? That's my question.
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. All right. Rafe, I want your opinion. Rafe Mushtaq. Rafe, are you there? Okay. Razeen, can you answer my question? Razeen, are you there or you have? Yeah.
Yes, sir. It might be a consumer service.
Can you elaborate how?
If the office boy is cleaning the floor or the furniture, then the office people are going to use it at the end. So it might be the
Yes.
consumer service.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me. Okay. I'll explain that, but let's move forward and then I'll come to the same example which I gave you. Okay. Now let's discuss capital goods. Capital goods are also called producer goods. Why we call them producer goods? Because those goods which are used up by producers to produce further goods and services. Think about a machinery, a factory building, right? So in that case, these are being used to produce goods and services, and they are helping out the producer. So it means these goods are not giving any benefit to the consumer, the final consumer, right? Here, the producer is basically the consumer, but he is not the final consumer. Producers, they are using machinery or that factory building to produce further goods and services. Okay, so we call them capital goods. Similarly, there are services as well, which are provided to producers as well. So producer services could be. Now I'll come to the example which I gave you earlier. You cannot say by looking at a product that whether it will be a consumer good or service or a producer good or service, because you need to see who is getting that service or good. Do remember that. So the example I gave you, in that example, the office boy is actually giving their service to producers or people who are responsible to produce, right? So in that case, that service will become a producer service. But the housemaid who is cleaning the floor of the house is directly providing services to the house owners, and they are the end users, right? So it becomes consumer service. Similarly, I'll give you another example. You have a car and you drive it. Why? Because you want to reach to a destiny well within time. So you use that car. It gives you comfort as well. You are the end user in that case. So that car is a consumer good. But think about a vehicle owned by a business which is used for transporting goods from the factory to the market. So in that case, who is getting the benefit? The producer. That vehicle or lorry is giving benefit directly to the producer, right? So that vehicle becomes a producer good. So think about it. A car is also a vehicle, but it is a consumer good. But a vehicle or a lorry responsible to transport goods from one area to another becomes a producer good. So you need to identify these goods in that manner. Similarly, a building where you live, we call it a house. It is a consumer good. But a building where goods are produced, we call it a factory and it is a producer good. So it's quite simple. So any confusion regarding consumer goods and services and producer goods and services, you can pose a question if you want to. I can wait. Anyone who is still not clear about it? So all are
Sir, can you
clear.
repeat producer services?
Producer service. Now, okay, I'll give you another example to explain producer service. Think about you have a watchman outside your house, right? Now, the watchman is providing services directly to the house owners. House owners are the end users. So the services of a watchman is a consumer service. Remember. Similarly, if the same watchman is standing outside the factory gate or factory building, now that watchman is protecting the producer. So the services becomes producer service in that case. So this is how you identify consumer goods and services and producer goods and services. Faria, I hope you understood that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there could be other examples as well. Think about a bank. We normally say banking is a consumer service because we can have an account in a bank, we can get money from the bank, we can have a debit card, credit card, and we can use the services of the bank. We can put our valuables in the lockers, right? So this is a consumer service. But you know that, for example, City School. City School has a bank account in MCB. So what do you think? Is City School a consumer or a producer? Faria.
The
Faria Khan?
producer.
Producer, absolutely right. So it means City School has a bank account, and that bank account helps the City School to provide services or to produce services, because then the students, they deposit their fee in that account, they pay their salaries to the staff members again through the same bank account. So in that case, that bank account becomes, or the services which are being provided by the bank to City School, that is a producer service. But when it comes to ordinary people, when they have their bank account, the same services become consumer service. I hope now you must be clear about it. Still, if there is any confusion, you can ask me question anytime, no problem at all.
No,
Sure.
sir. Clear.
All right, thank you. Should Okay, now we are moving onwards. Now a very important concept, and business students, they did study that as well. But we'll discuss that in detail. Why? Because it's an important question and it comes in the paper as well. If you see my notes of chapter number 1, so you'll see the past paper questions uh, after the chapter, and there are questions from this topic as well. We can discuss those questions as well later, but not now, because we are about to finish chapter number 1. Maybe one more topic after that is left, that is social enterprise, and then we can discuss some of the past paper questions as well, because I want you to be ready to answer past paper questions as well, since from the outset, rather than getting closer to the CIE exams, you start learning it. Okay, because I want everybody to get a very good grade, not less than A, because in AS level, at the maximum you can get A, not more than that. Because when we combine them together, A1 and A2, then you will get an A star in total. So your objective should be to get an A, but at a high level, right? You should not be getting A round about 80. For example, if you get an A at 87, 88, 89, it will be beneficial for you because it will help you in A2. Even if you lose marks over there as well, you still be able to get A star. Okay, let's talk about now this term, concept of adding value, or we can call it added value, value added. So there are different ways to name it. So, but the term remains the same. The concept is the same. Let's discuss first the concept of adding value. Let me show it to you. I hope you can see the screen, or maybe in a minute or so. Yeah, now I hope you can see the concept which I explained through the Paint software. Can everybody see it? The concept of added value.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Now let's discuss. So added value or value added or adding value, it's the same. Okay. So nothing to worry about it if you see in the book or somewhere maybe a different name. Okay, now this term, if you see the definition, so see the top left box, the top left yellow box, just have a look. It is the difference between the selling price of finished goods and the cost of bought in material. Generally, if you see books of business studies, you might not find the word finished goods there. But I think it is compulsory to get maximum marks. Like, for example, if there is a 2 mark question related to the term added value and you miss out the, the word finished goods, there will be a problem, I'm telling you. I can explain you that. So it is the difference between the selling price of finished goods and the cost of bought in material. So now you need to
Sir,
understand when we say finish. Yeah, please.
sir,
Any
can we
question?
use the words cost price and selling price on these places? Finished goods की जगह पे finished price, the selling price and cost price नहीं use कर सकते यहाँ पे?
You can, yes, you can, but let me define it first. Then you decide whether it will be suitable to use it here or not. Okay, now finished goods means which are complete in all respects. They are ready to be sold. We call them finished goods. They might be in a stock and business is about to sell them or about to send them to the market, right? We call them finished goods. No further work is required. Consumers can buy them now to be used immediately. Okay. Now, if I talk about cost of bought in material, now do remember businesses have many costs, but here we are not talking about all the costs. We are talking about the cost of raw material, which is not produced by the business itself. They buy it from somewhere else. For example, you run a clothes manufacturing business and you buy buttons zip, for example, from other businesses. This is your raw material, for example. So this could be your cost of bought in material. Similarly, for example, if you produce cotton clothes and you buy cotton from outside the business, obviously because you do not grow cotton, you have to buy it. So again, it is your bought in material. So do remember, bought in material means the items which are not produced by the business and they have to buy it from somewhere else. And we call them raw material. Why? Because then we convert it through our production process into finished products. And then we set a price as a business and we sell it to final consumers. Now, this is added value, the difference between, now I'll give you an example as well. There are examples there, but let me give you one here. For example, you are in the business of manufacturing ballpoints. You sell one ballpoint for 30 rupees, but the cost of bought in material is 10. So 30 minus 10, 20 will be the added value. But do remember, it's not the same as profit. Added value and profit, they are different things. So do not get confused that it might be the same. So can anybody tell me why added value is not same as profit? Because profit is also calculated in the same way. We subtract cost from the sales or from the price, selling price. We get profit on each item. So can anybody tell me what is the difference between added value and profit? Let me ask few of you.
Yeah, so added value would be the cost of the bought material, means the cost price, the only price which was the price of the raw materials, while the profit would be the cost which you are having excluding the raw material cost.
Okay, all right. Hira, can you answer this question?
Sir, added value will only include the cost of the raw materials, whereas profit includes all the other expenses also, like wages, rent, etc.
Okay, correct answer. Very good, Hira. Thank you very much. Yes, that is a perfect answer. That business activity involves lots of costs. But to calculate added value, we just subtract the cost of the raw material we buy from somewhere else. But there are other costs as well. For example, utility bills, rent of the building, salaries of the workers, interest payment to bank, because in case if you have borrowed money from the bank. So there are lots of other costs as well. So we have to subtract all costs, including the cost of raw material. So remember, we cannot exclude the cost of raw material while calculating profit. When we calculate profit, we subtract all costs, the cost of raw material plus other costs from the sales or from the amount we get by selling product. So we get the profit. So that is the difference between added value and the profit. And now the question is, why we study this concept? What is the point of studying added value? Because the business is always looking for a profit and not for an added value. Let me tell you, added value is directly linked with customer satisfaction. Do you know how? Let me give you an example. You buy raw material, for example, ordinary raw material for somewhere else, and then you convert it into finished products and you put a stamp over it, your brand name, right? For example, Hush Puppies. This is a brand which is there now on the shoes, right? Now you have added value in it. Why? What does it mean? It means now there is greater satisfaction for consumers. They always look for good and famous brands. And you know that if I talk about Hush Puppies, what is their claim? Their claim is that they produce the most comfortable shoes in the world. This is their slogan. So it means they have a certain brand image there. So even if you just stamp it with your logo or your brand, value is added. So now what will happen? Now you will be able to increase your price. The ordinary shoe is sold for 1000 rupees, but now that shoe, which is branded Hush Puppies, can be sold for 5000 rupees or even more than that. And still people will be happier to buy that. Why? Because now there is greater satisfaction in buying it. And you know that these days people, they are always looking for famous brands. They do not buy ordinary items, because now brands, they have become status symbol as well. It's not about only how good you look after wearing those shoes or the clothes. It's about telling other people that I am wearing a particular brand. Think about Louis Vuitton. Why people they want to buy it? Again, because of the brand image it carries, and that is why it's so expensive, right? Think about Jimmy Choo cosmetic items. Again, it's very expensive. Why? Because there is greater value added. It means that there is higher customer satisfaction in it. But obviously, only those people can buy who are able to afford it. So that is why added value is extremely important for every business. We'll talk about it, how value can be added. One way, I told you, by branding it, and if the brand is famous or you make it famous, you add value. So it does not matter how much you spend, because people do not know how much money you spend in the factory. They just look at the final product. So if there is greater satisfaction there, you are able to charge a higher price. And when you charge a higher price, what will happen? There will be a bigger gap between the selling price of the finished goods you sell and the cost of bought in material, right? Because the material you bought, that was ordinary, okay, and it was cheap as well. But now when you convert it into a finished product, and you are able to charge a higher price. So it means you are able to widen the gap between selling price and the cost of bought in material. So it means that you have added value, and it helps you to increase profit as well. Okay, let me now talk about the other um, features as well. Now, if you see the top right box, the green box, it is not same as profit. I told you earlier, cost of bought in material is not the only cost of the business. So it's clearly written there. That's why I mentioned that in my explanation. Now, if you see uh, the the box to your extreme right at the bottom, the brown box, higher added value increases the chance of getting higher profit. I told you earlier. How? I explained you that. For example, now because there is greater satisfaction in buying that product from customer's perspective, you are able to charge a higher price. Even if your cost is low, but you are able to charge a higher price because customers are more satisfied buying your product. So what will happen? It will help you to cover other costs as well. That is payment of salaries, rent of the building, interest to be given to the bank, utility bills, and other costs. You will be able to cover them easily, and then your profit will start increasing, right? So that is why added value is extremely important for every business to create, because it helps the business to achieve their primary objective, that is profit. I'll discuss that in much more detail further, but now let me discuss how we do it, how we are able to increase added value. Now, see the blue box to your extreme left at the bottom. Two ways to increase added value. Basically, there are two simple ways. Okay, one, either increase your price or reduce the cost of your bought in material. Now, it looks simple, but they are not that simple. Think about it. For example, you are a cell phone manufacturer and you sell your cell phone for 30,000 rupees. So, can you increase the price of your cell phone up to 40,000? Is it possible? It's not. Why? Because unless and until you make changes in your cell phone or you create a brand image, you cannot charge a higher price. Because why people would like to pay a higher price for the same product? Unless and until you tell them that there is some difference, there is some change in it, right? And that change could be because of the brand or could be because of the features you added. Okay, but again, whatever features you add, maybe still your cost might be low, but now you might be able to charge a very high price. For example, you add 20% extra cost in your product to make it look even good, more attractive to people. 20% extra cost, for example, was added. But now you are able to increase price by 50% or 60%. Why? Because it depends on customer satisfaction. The higher the customer satisfaction, the higher the price can be charged. Why iPhone is now of 3,50,000? Why it is so? Why? Because now it has become a status symbol, and all those people who want to have that status, they would like to buy the same Apple iPhone, even if it is of that much high price. So it means greater value was added there. That's why it is still being sold. So it means you can increase price, because if you, now let me show you the formula and then I'll explain that concept as well. Okay, one is increase your price, but for that you need to do something, because without making any change in your product, you cannot increase your price because it cannot create value. People won't buy, because when I say it won't create value, it means it will not increase the level of satisfaction for the people, right? So you have to do something. Similarly, if you reduce your cost, yes, it's possible, okay, but you cannot compromise on the quality of the raw material. For example, now you change your supplier who supplies the raw material to you, for example, but the quality is on the lower side. So your cost might be low, but again, you cannot create value or add value in it, because there will be lower customer satisfaction in that product. They will say, yes, now the cell phone is cheaper, but the quality is also on the lower side, so we won't buy. So in that case, value won't be added. So because we need to widen the gap between selling price of the product and the cost of the bought in material without reducing the level of customer satisfaction. In fact, it should increase rather than going down. Okay, so this should be the way. Now, let's have a look at the example I mentioned. Now, added value is equal to selling price minus cost of bought in material. We are talking about one item, right? For example, if one item is sold for $20 and the cost of raw material to produce that item is $6, we get how much? We get $14. Okay, this is our added value. Okay, and if we further subtract our other costs from $14, we will get profit. Now, the two ways are, one is you can, okay, reduce the cost. Now, from $6, you are able to reduce your cost to $4. Okay, and now your added value is $16. But we are assuming that now the cost of raw material has gone down, but not the quality. You have changed the supplier, but the supplier is offering you the same raw material at a lower price, but at the same quality. Then we'll say that the level of satisfaction is the same for the consumers, right? But now you are able to generate higher added value from it, and it will lead to higher profit as well. Similarly, if I talk about price, earlier the price was $20 and now you increased it to $22, and for that you have to do something. I'll give you an example. There is a restaurant and people obviously visit the restaurant to have a dinner, lunch or breakfast over there. Now, for example, they have actually increased the efficiency of providing the service to the customers. Now they claim that we serve food within 10 minutes time since they are ordered. Now, no restaurant is able to serve food within 10 minutes. You know that, because it takes time to cook food. But maybe they have some technology, maybe a half cooked food is already there and they just cook it to full and they serve it to the customers within 10 minutes time. So now what happened? They have added value, and because of that additional feature which is there in their restaurant, they are able to charge $2 extra earlier than higher than before. That is $22. So cost is the same. So now $16 will be the added value. So in both cases, you see, added value can be increased either by reducing the cost of raw material but without compromising quality, or by increasing the price of the product. But again, to increase price, you have to do something. Otherwise, people won't buy because the level of satisfaction will drop down. Okay, now, any question regarding added value? I'll be there to answer your question. Especially Isra, Hira, because you did not study business at all in O levels. And other students who have not studied it, Daud, Rafi, Zaim, any question regarding this concept? If you are still not clear.
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Anyone else? Isra, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Because I'm telling you, sooner or later, I'll give you questions as assignments, and then your real test will start. I'm telling you, because if you keep on watching my videos or attending my lessons, yes, it will be fine. You will have the understanding, but the real learning will be when you will be answering questions, and that would be my focus. And I will keep on telling you how to answer questions, and I'll tell you today as well. Okay, now let's talk about this concept, how it comes in the paper. Okay, let's see it and how can we answer it. All right, now there's another slide. Let me see whether you can see it or not. Yeah, now I think you can see it. There is a restaurant in the middle. How a restaurant business can add value. Can you see it? Razeen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now there is a question in the past paper, in the papers, the question can come in that way as well. Actually, if you see the past paper questions which are there at the end of chapter number 1 in my notes, you will see such question there with related to the concept adding value. Now let's discuss it, that how can we use the knowledge of added value in the paper. Now, how a restaurant business can add value, it will make you even more clear about this concept. Now, one way is using your stuff. Use your staff to good effect to create value or to add value. And for that, what do? You train your staff. For example, there is a mall there and your staff is trained, or there is a shop there and your staff is qualified and trained. So they are able to answer every single query of the customers. So customers will be happy. Why? Because, for example, if customers there to buy something which is really technical or expensive, so they require an expert advice. So if your staff is trained and qualified, they might be able to suggest customers the most suitable product for them. So it will increase the level of satisfaction for the customers. And every time they would like to come to the same shop because they know that the staff is well equipped, they are trained. So this is again added value. And because of that reason, you can charge a higher price. Okay, this is staff again. You can train the staff to be very gentle and polite. So in a restaurant, maybe the staff is too polite, right? And they have a special way to greet customers, right? And saying goodbye to customers when they have their lunch. So in that case, being polite is also one of the strengths of a restaurant business, and it adds value to it as well. In the same way, if staff is well dressed up, well groomed, and the staff looks good as well, it can also be part of the added value. Okay, so you can use staff to add value to a restaurant. Similarly, now if I talk about the ambience, now ambience is the atmosphere you like to enjoy. So sometimes you want to go to a restaurant where there is absolute silence there, right? And you want to enjoy a peaceful atmosphere there. So if you find it somewhere, even if it is somewhat expensive, you would like to go over there. Okay, so atmosphere, the cleanliness can also come in the category of atmosphere as well. The overall environment, light music is there, and you can have your lunch along with your family or friends in a comfortable environment. Again, that is part of ambience. So it means, why, if I talk about PC Hotel in Pakistan, so if you want to have a cup of tea over there, they charge more than 350 rupees for one cup of tea, right? But if you go to an ordinary hotel, so you might get the same cup of tea for 50 rupees or 80 rupees, and both might be using the same brand of milk, that is, for example, everyday, okay, or milk pack, and the same brand of tea, for example, Lipton, right? So it means that the cost of raw material might be the same for both the restaurants, either it is a PC hotel or an ordinary restaurant, but they are able to charge, it might be possible that taste might be the same as well. Obviously, yeah, why? Because they are using the same raw material to make it. But the atmosphere people can enjoy while sitting in a PC restaurant, or the status they can enjoy while sitting over there. They can boast off to their friends that, okay, I have the money to make you feel comfortable in such an environment, right? Like PC. So again, it adds value, and they are able to charge a higher price for it. So greater value is added in that case. Then another way you can add value is the quality of food. So every time food is served in a restaurant is of top quality. The taste is immaculate, food is very tasty, and is fresh as well. So you have never found out that the food is not that fresh or not that tasty. So again, it can add value, right? So you always go there whenever somebody names a restaurant, you always say, yummy, yes, we'll go there. Why? Because the food is so tasty over there every time we visit that place, right? So again, it adds value even if the price is on the higher side, because there is greater level of satisfaction attached with it. People would like to go there. Similarly, if I talk about parking, you know that parking is a major issue, especially in populous cities, especially in Lahore. It's not that easy to park your car. So for that, if there are proper or ample parking space available nearby a restaurant, or that is why there are basements there these days. So you can park your car over there easily, and there is safety there. There is no risk of mm, your car being stolen, right? So again, it adds value as well. Okay, you can have a peaceful frame of mind while eating or having your lunch or dinner in a restaurant. So they are able to charge a higher price as well. Similarly, brand image, I told you. Okay, now brand image, I gave you the example of hush puppies, right? So by if your brand image is not very good, so make it good then. And how do you do it? Can anybody tell me how can you make your brand image look good? Anybody?
Through advertising.
Very good, Hira. Thank you very much. Excellent answer. Through advertisements, you can enhance the image of your brand. You know that how many times you buy a brand, either it is a toothpaste or a toothbrush or a chocolate, sorry, or a bread. How many times you buy something whose brand you are not familiar with? How many times? I think not even a single time. We always buy those brands whose advertisements we watch on TV, right? So it means that to establish a good brand image, you need to advertise your brand extensively through social media, print media, electronic media. TV is one of the major source of enhancing the image of your brand. So once your brand image is established, now it does not matter uh, whether your food quality is the same, even if people would like to pay a higher price to go over there. Why? Because again, because they want to tell other people that yes, we visited KFC, we visited McDonald's, right? We visited Pizza Hut. And in the same way, if you want to give a treat to your friends as well, again, it will match with your status as well. You carry on, right? You carry, right? So you take your friends to Pizza Hut rather than an ordinary restaurant. Why? Because they'll start making fun of you. Maybe in an ordinary restaurant, the same tasty food is there, but you go to Pizza Hut. Why? Because you want to carry the same status which you like to have. So again, it adds value, and you are happy to pay even a higher price, even if the food quality is the same. Now, and last but not the least, that is ingredients. I told you. Another way to add value for a restaurant is you can add value. You can buy ingredients which are cheap. But do remember, yes, you can change your supplier to buy cheaper ingredients, but they should not be lower in quality. Otherwise, value will not be added. People won't buy. Customer satisfaction will go down. So there are many ways. So now imagine there might be an 8-mark question, or they can ask a 12-mark question as well about it to discuss it, right? So, for example, if there is a question about discuss, okay, I think maybe it's the time now, so I'll discuss the question related to add value maybe in the next class, and because that question will start from the word discuss, so that I can tell you how it is different from the other question, and how, and in this question, how many marks are there for knowledge, application, analysis, and well, are there any marks for evaluation in this question or not? So I'll discuss that, but in the next class, okay, more in detail. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next class.